Okay, so today we are talking about shoulders, rib cage, and breathing. These are really important components to be able to balance on your hands, whether it is in plank or crow or chaturanga or handstand or headstand. These are all really important components. So what I need you to have is a block that's this shape, a roller, and a chair. And so we're going to start by playing with our breath, because when we think about the shoulder girdle, when it comes to hand balances, we have to remember that the hands are becoming the feet and the arms are becoming the legs, and then the actual blades to rib cage, collarbones, that's now become the pelvic girdle. That's what's bearing the load for us. And so we need to make sure that these limbs, which are typically what enables us to embrace or to express, now have some ability to hold our weight. Okay, so here is where we're going to begin, just with our hands on our belly. And I want you to breathe in and out and just connect with your breath. And exhale. Now you could also be sitting on the chair. You could also be sitting cross-legged. It's totally up to you. And then bring your hands up to the sides of your ribs. And then bring your hands up to just under your collarbones. Okay, and now bring your hands, if you can reach, to the back of your upper ribs. Okay, now bring your hands into gentle fists and begin to tap around your ribs and then up to the top part of your ribs. You're probably getting some feedback as I do that around the mic, so I'll just keep it in and around here. But do come up into the top part of your ribs. And as you exhale, you can exhale through your nose or through your mouth. When we bear a load through our hands, we have to think about the center of our body moving out to the distal parts of our body. And I like to teach about not bracing. I know there's lots of people out there who use a technique of just hold everything in and then move. And if that works for you, then do it. It's just not what I teach typically, right? If someone absolutely needs that, then I'll do it. But what I like to train is I like to train responsiveness, and I like to train adaptability and variability of movement so that you can respond to the stimulus, right? So I don't want you to have to walk around the street when you're walking around the street in a braced, anticipatory way. I want you to be open and receptive and feel what happens, right? So when we're doing our movement, we can respond to the movement, not brace against the movement. So that's really about what this is all about, because when we brace, I think that we're not quite as strong. Okay, so now from here, we're going to go into a side bend. I've just moved the block. If you want to still have the block underneath you, by all means, go for it. I'm just sitting on my heels. I'm going to go to the side. Hand is on the side of your ribs, and just breathe into your ribs. Do your best not to be collapsing right into that hand. Good. And then other side. Now I want you to think about your ribs like bucket handles, and when they move, so they attach here and they attach back here, and when they move out like this, right? So forward, side, back, right? It's like a big bucket handle coming up. And think about the lungs inside of the ribs and how the lungs move the ribs, and then the tissue around and between the ribs obviously help to move the ribs, and then also help the lungs to move. If you're really, really gripped in and around the rib cage, it gets difficult to bring breath in, right? Which is really important for core strength and strength in general. All right, I'm going to bring the block back underneath. Okay, we're going to come into a position here. We're going to move towards eagle. But we're going to start here by bringing this arm straight across the body. Now, what I want you to be careful about is that we don't raise the shoulder up, that the arm comes straight across. We are also not holding the shoulder blade down, right? We're not bracing it down, just bringing the arm straight across. Yeah, be aware of what that tendency is, okay? And then the other side, bring that arm straight across. Okay, good. And then come back to the first side, bringing the arm straight across, and then move the arm at the shoulder joint. Yeah, there you go. So we're rotating at the shoulder joint. Now it looks like my hand's the one that's moving, but really the reason why the hand is moving is because what is happening here. Yeah. So if you don't have the articulating motion at the shoulder, you might end up doing something like this, ever so slightly, or you might start doing something with your jaw or your face. Good. And then other way. I was reading a post the other day about retiring yoga poses. And a lot of people retire them because they're losing function. When I say function, I don't mean strength and I don't mean mobility. I mean all of it, right? We tend to try to compartmentalize muscle and ligament and fascia. And the thing is, we forget we're a whole system sometimes. Do this technique for, do this technique for, do this technique for. How about we just move better? Like, when we move better, that all starts to work better. Yeah? We're a whole being. Okay, so now I'm going to bring my arms across. Now I might go through the mic, so sorry about that. Let me just bring this down a little bit. Let's do that. Okay, so bringing the arms across like this, and then here. Okay, and if you can. Okay, now we're going to add a little twist. And then we're going to add a little twist. Now I'm going to just turn to the side so you can see what I'm going to do next. I'm going to move through my shoulders, but I'm not sliding them up to my ears. I'm moving my arm bones in the shoulder sockets. Okay, and then I'm going to start to move the elbows a little straighter. Yeah? Okay, good. And then come back, and then other side. Now, of course, if you're unable to pretzel your arms up into eagle, then just do what we did earlier, which is this one. Right? You need to get this base down before you can bring those arms across. And you know what? You might also have a chest that's really quite developed for any number of reasons. Yeah? And so you might not be able to bring the arms across. Okay, arms around. Oh, no, we're going to do twist first. So twist one way. And twist other ways. I've worked with women, I've worked with men, and sometimes just what's there in the rib cage and in breast tissue, there's not that ability. Okay, and then bring the arms out, moving at the elbows. Good. And then bring the arms down. Lovely. Okay, now notice what it is that you feel. Let me bring this mic back up here. Okay, let me know what that feels like there. Okay, and come to the chair. So with the chair, we're going to bring the elbows onto the chair, and the palms are going to come together like so. So elbows on the chair, palms touching. Now watch what's going to happen here. I'm going to bring my knees back a little bit. I'm going to move through my hips and my shoulders. I'm not going to arch my back, and I'm also not going to tuck up this way. Okay? I'm just going to move myself through my hips and my shoulders. Pay attention. Now I'm moving a little bit quick through my shoulders versus my hips. So I want to improve the tempo between the two of them. And then once I'm here, then I can either rest my head down. What you want to be careful about is that maybe you only come this far. You don't want to just rest your head down like so. So if you're only coming down this far, right? Let's say like that's the range you've got, and then you all of a sudden start to drop your head. Then you put a whole ton of flexion in through your neck. I want you to not drop your head. Only move through your shoulders and your hips, if I can explain this well. Your shoulders and your hips are what are bringing you down into the position. And so then your head just drops into position. Now, if I wasn't speaking to you right now, I would just be here with my head following my spine. And then my head would come more easily towards the chair. Okay, and then you can just stay here. Okay, and pay attention to your breathing. Good. And then what you can also do is with the block, you can take the block between your hands. So I've put the block like this. You can also put the block like this, or you can even put the block like this. You explore what that is for you if you want to add to this. And for some people, they find it easier. For some people, they find it more challenging. It really depends on the person. Yeah. But this becomes a really nice way of coordinating your hips and your shoulders while noticing what's going on between your ribs and your pelvis, because it's so easy to tuck or to arch, right? It's really easy to do that. So just pay attention to what that is for you. Good. And then come back up. And now notice what it is that you feel. Yeah? Okay, now we're going to come onto hands and knees, and we're going to take the roller and we're just going to twist. Okay? So it's going to look like this. So what I'm not doing is I'm not just dropping to the floor, right? You'll see here that I'm twisting. Let me move this bit. I'm twisting my torso. And I'm speaking so that my face can also see you. But my head ideally is just following my rib cage, so my nose is in line with my breastbone. Good? All right, other side. So do your best not to drop straight to the floor. Really allow the rotation to happen. Okay, great. Okay, now let's move this off to the side. Okay, now come onto your mat. Come back into hands and knees. And from here, take your toes under and just start to lift your knees a little bit. I'm actually going to come closer for you so you can see this more clearly. Just lift your knees. Okay? So the knees come up just a little bit. So you're going from 6 points to 4 points. And you're moving your hips back and then forward. So your hips and shoulders are moving. You'll see that my knees aren't lifting up anymore. Good. Good. Now from here, I want you to take 1 foot back. Now you're doing the same thing. Now you're going from 3 points, or sorry, from 4 points, but now we're extending that foot back. Yeah. So notice what you're feeling through that plank. Okay, good. And come on down. All right. And again, 1 and 2. And you can start to play around with coming up into dog and coming back to plank, thinking about your hips and your shoulders like we were doing on the chair, as well as when we were just doing that little tabletop. Good. Okay, now, playing around with that, now notice what it is that you feel. Yeah, where do you feel that in your body? How does it feel? Okay, now let's just kind of play around with crow. So from here, this might be too much for you today, but just to get the idea of it, and we'll keep exploring it this week, is that you can come here and then just rest those knees over onto your arms. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm just taking my weight over onto my arms. I'm just taking my weight over onto my arms. I'm taking my weight over onto my arms. And you see how my toes are starting to pick up? That's it. Yeah, let me come a bit closer to show that to you a little bit more. So what I'm not doing is I'm not kind of coming here and then lifting a foot off the ground. What I'm building is I'm building my strength and my suppleness. Easy, easy breathing. And I'm letting, as my weight comes from 4 points to 2 points, I'm letting my body weight take that load, right? See how my toes are still on the ground. The toes are still on the ground. The toes are still on the ground. And I just bring more weight over and over and over. So you get to determine where you're at in the process, right? So you don't have to push yourself far forward in order to make crow happen. Rather, notice your trajectory from point A to point B as you move. So let me say it again. Don't try and jump into crow right away. Rather, allow that movement to happen from point A to point B. Yeah? So if I'm here again, let me show you. I'm bringing myself forward from 4 points to 2 points, from 4 points, from 4 points. I'm taking more and more weight through that upper body. And you might hang out right here. My toes are on the ground. That might be enough work for you here. Or you might bring yourself a little further forward and up it comes. Okay, right? So I know I make it probably look a little bit easier than it feels for you, but it's the trajectory of movement that I want you really to consider. And consider that your hands are your feet, your arms are your legs, your shoulder girdle is your pelvic girdle, and there's a huge amount of support that comes from the ribs. And if we can breathe easy, we can transfer that load a little bit better. Okay, want to try one more? Okay, let's try one more. So we're here. And then we're bringing our weight forward and forward. Yeah? So what I haven't done is I haven't engaged my pelvic floor consciously and willfully or dutifully. I've let my core engage as a result of the weight transfer. Okay, so I haven't braced, I've been responsive in movement. Okay, so now I want you to come back here and come back into sitting here. Okay, and now notice what it is that you feel through your body. What it feels like in your breath. Let's bring this arm across the body again. And then start to roll through rotation with that arm bone. And start to move that and move into rotation through that arm bone. Let's take that side bend again. And then take that side bend again. Good. And now come into a position where you're sitting comfortable, whether it's on a block, whether it's on a bolster. Easy, easy, easy breathing. And feel what's now there. I find sometimes with some clients who I'm teaching these balance positions too, because they've now got some of the suppleness and the functionality in their body to be able to bear that load, is that there tends to be this buildup of energy in and around their upper body and in their rib cage that can sometimes feel overwhelming, like there's some movement of stuff that's there as you regain strength. So really honor the components and the integrity that you have, and really honor the movement of point A to point B in that trajectory of movement. Yeah? And if you stay with where you can feel, you will progress really, really quickly. So now enjoy that connection. If you want to lie back on your back in Shavasana, please do that and take a few moments just to feel the ground beneath you. Or if you want to sit into a meditation, now that you're feeling the strength of this movement upward, then do that. Sitting comfortably and strong. Or whatever the next activity is that you do. Just notice and be aware of what's going on through your system. Feel your own inner connection. And act from there. You have a really, really, really great practice. And we'll see you in the morning. Take good care.